It's Stu, and it's book haul Thursday. I hauled more books than I needed. Today I hauled. It was from the Friends of the Library bookshop that's only open on Thursdays, and today I hauled collectors' books, beautiful books, intriguing books. It was normally I've even set really good parameters, like for instance when I'm thrifting. Okay, not in Portland, but when I'm thrifting, it's a book in translation or published 2020 or later, just to kind of, you know, reduce the amount of things that I'll take home or something that I've really, really been looking for. And at the Friends of the Library, I have like just a really good time going through shelves, and I found entire series. Like there's lots of beautiful things that have happened. Today I decided to put several books back because it was getting too big, and I made some decisions, just I guess kind of around the realm of collectors books. This is a NYRB classic, as a for example, and this is Sunflower by Grula Krudi. This is a Hungarian author, so it is translated, and it's got an introduction as well by John Lucas, and the translation is John Batke. This does not exist. Neither of my libraries have a copy of this, and I found that the author's story was interesting, and the premise of the book is a bit about desire. I think it's about desire. Yeah, I don't know why it's named Sunflower. I got this book because it's an NYRB classic. I have been able to pass a couple of them up, but I feel like today, I guess I felt just a bit like collector-y. There was a couple other books I passed up that they weren't NYRB, but I also thought that they would just be kind of spectacular. Like they were really intriguing to me. Again, without the ability to have audio or visual, I have to be really careful with the font, and this one may or may not work, but I thought it was, I got it. I got it anyway. Another such case, and this definitely goes in classics, the original publication of this book called Sophia by Charlotte Lennox is 1762. So there's it said edited by, it's Norbert Sure. I thought there was an introduction as well. Let me see. This is an incredibly old book. It's got a lot of footnotes. It's incredibly old piece of literature. It's about siblings in England in the 1700s. And I think as it's such an old, it might be the first published, like mass published piece of literature by a female author. And I think, especially until I, know more about that, but even if I'm getting at the proximity of that, like, it's worth having in my classics, and, finding a space to read, maybe not, maybe this is a book that I'll have for a long time, or find a good way to pass on. I found it, yeah, I was pretty excited to find it, not in my library either. The Course of Love by Aline de Botton. I felt a bit impulsive. I don't know this author. I'm not sure much about this book. What made me grab it was, of course, the simple, beautiful cover. But the setting is Edinburgh, and I thought, especially since I just found Shuggie Bain, I haven't had that much experience in Scottish settings or with Scottish authors. And I so enjoyed A Kind of Spark. So that's what compelled me to this book. The Inheritors by Asako Serizawa. I actually put this in my pile the last time I was at the Friends of the Library Bookshop, and then I put it back. It's short stories, and it was not shelved in short stories. They do have a short story shelf, but you know, people move things around, and this is all volunteer work. I I have more, I've been into more short stories than I thought. I have more short stories than I probably can ever read. And so I'm a little hesitant to haul more short stories. But I really wanted to give this a chance. What a beautiful cover again. And I think I was really compelled towards beautiful books today. I really feel like this would be a great, this one in my mind is going to go on Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I mean, it'd be a great month to read it. It'll be in the pile of possibilities because it says it's a kaleidoscope portrait of 5 generations scattered across Asia and the United States. And I think this is, you know, focusing on Japan, the Pacific Theater, World War II, but 5 generations. So that's before and after that war. Anyway, I think that one has good ratings. Okay, this book, The Offing, it's just like a charming little cover. What intrigued me about this book, somebody, you know, bought this book for £2 in the UK at one point, and I paid a little bit more than that, I think, with how the exchange is these days, for this book at the Friends of the Library. This is, I often talk about the oversaturation of World War II, but here we have a completely different construct. It's a 16-year-old boy who lives in a Durham village in a mining town, and he's the son of a miner. And after the war, he decides to leave the village and head out to the countryside and see what's up with that. And so I think, especially since I just hauled A Kestrel for a Knave, which is also set in northern England and also in a mining town, and about this sort of atmosphere of like the mining towns and what they meant, especially through the war, right? It made me like, I think these books would be read. These books would be read like the Kestrel and the Knave, and this maybe in close proximity to each other. Anyway, this is The Offing by Benjamin Myers. Okay, next I have The Grievers by Adrienne Maree Brown. This book is by AK Press, and it's part of a series, and I'm not sure anything about the series. Who doesn't love a French flap, though? This setting is in Detroit, and it's quite atmospheric, as we can see. And again, I was just really compelled to the book because of the difference in the shape and size and of its cover. I believe this is looking, well, obviously about grief and stories of social justice, if I'm to understand a little bit about what this author writes about. And so I had such a good time with this as a setting, kind of really impacting the story with Please See Us in the setting Atlantic City, that I kind of have a similar feeling about The Grievers. And I really did like Turner House as well, which was set in Detroit. So that's what compelled me to this book. It's now going to sit as a little display book because it is a beautiful book. Speaking of beautiful display books, I think, again, what called me to this book, which is Promise by Rachel Eliza Griffiths, was, you know, the absolute beauty of this cover. It was really compelling, and I'm going to replace, I'm going to put it right here and replace that Japanese short story book. The blurb on this book says it's 2 Black sisters growing up in a small town in New England fight to protect their home, their bodies, and their dreams in the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement sweeps the nation in this searing debut novel. Yeah, I've got a lot of time for that kind of a story, and it's giving coming of age, and it's certainly giving coming of age when, like, important. I really appreciate domestic and coming of age and friendship novels when there's like historical periods or historical periods of historical importance, such as the civil rights movement, going on around them, and to see how that plays out sort of in everyday lives in different places. So we get a lot of literature out of the South about the civil rights movement, but this is two sisters in a New England town, right? Speaking of historical fiction, I have passed up this book for reasons I think are kind of obvious when one looks at the chunkiness of this book. Several times. I have seen it more than once. Not this particular hardback edition, but I have seen it more than once. And this is about Henry VIII. So it's Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. I know this won the Booker. I just got done reading Bookers. Probably in Booker season, that's when I'll make myself read this. I'm not extremely interested in like regal history or histories of crowns or royalty in Europe at all, to be honest. But, you know, here I am with this historical fiction about Henry VIII, and this wonderful, like, somebody printed out this timeline, and I don't know the source. It just says timeline. It doesn't give me any source on it, but I'm going to take it for face value. There is some, just for the portrait. I'm going to take it for face value and maybe use it to kind of set the timeline when I read this book, as somebody else might have. Because this book was sitting right next to another Hilary Mantel, which is The Mirror and the Light, which is another, this one has deckled edges, but it's another historical fiction. This one's in 1336, and it's about Anne Boleyn's beheading. Well, that's where it starts. That's the center of this book. So kind of similar in that it's royalty Europe in and a chunker. So I guess I've started my Hilary Mantel collection without any real there's no lack of enthusiasm reading it. It's just there's no real enthusiasm. These were my 2 free books. What can one say about getting 2 free books and, you know, getting a Booker Prize winning book for what it's worth? Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. I know I didn't finish my sentence, but here we have Wolf Hall and The Mirror and the Light by Hilary Mantel to be added to my collection. The last hardback that I hauled today was The Grammarians by Kathleen Shine. This gave quirky. This is 2 twins, and they're obsessed with language. And actually, I passed this up the last time too. And then I kind of revisited it this time, and I said, this is quirky. People kind of quirky about language. Feels like it's right up my alley. And I think of all of the books here, this one actually has the most, I probably would pick this book up, say, yeah, I'd like to read this, without being very experimental. Although I don't know anything about this book or this author apart from what I read about it while choosing it there. Okay, the last 2 books I just picked because they are Europa Press, and I'll be very honest that that's why I picked them, because that's the kind of mood I was in today. I was just picking beautiful books, and I guess I'm just building my Europa Press collection a little bit, especially after I found all of Elena Ferrante's series, the Neapolitan Chronicles, I think they're called. I thought, yep, let's do it. Let's do these Europa Presses. So the first is by Laurence Cossé. I don't know how that accent works in French. But this is a novel bookstore, and it's obviously a translated book. It comes with a nice bookmark shoved in there. It's translated by Allison Anderson. Apart from it being Europa Press and a book, I mean, look at this cover. This is absolutely going on display. This is going to be one of my display books. And who doesn't love books about books or bookstores? This does exist in my library, and in every kind of reading challenge, even including the ones that I make myself for myself, there's prompts about books, right? Or books about libraries. So there will be many of occasion for this to come along. Also, I do have some like general enthusiasm about reading books about books. The next one is by Roberto Tirabashi, and that's the Apothecary's Shop, a novel of Venice in 1118 AD. This is translated from the Italian by Catherine Gregor. This wouldn't necessarily be in my full interest group. It wouldn't not. I think I'd probably be more interested in the premise of the novel of Venice in 1118. That 1100 date also strikes me that the French novel that I recently hauled, The True Justice, or that which is, why can't I remember? Do I have it close? Hold up. Yeah, The Last of the Just starts also around that date with a massacre of Jewish people in on the British Isles, I believe. So I guess the fact that I held two books around that time period sort of suggests maybe they could be read at a similar time. The interesting thing about both of those is neither of them exist in audio or visual through my library. So luckily, yeah, I could handle reading this in natural light. I sure am almost addicted to having all of these hybrid options. So I have to get that out of my head and start just, accepting that when it's very dark in my basement apartment during the winter months. But once they're over, I have a beautiful backyard and a beautiful coffee shop just on the corner of the street where I live, where I can go and read joyfully, especially every weekend outside at the coffee shop or in my backyard as the days get longer. So I'll have to wait for that and then get back into the groove of just being okay with just having the physical. Yeah, that's my haul. Beautiful books, and nothing that's saying, read me right away, which is kind of nice. I felt a little bit more at ease with being sort of a book collector that unhauls everything today, because it does get a little tense when you have a really packed TBR plan, as mine is for the month of December. It is just, it is packed. And then you get a book and you're like, no, I just really, really want to read this soon. I'm so excited to have found it. And you want to be able to kind of give into that urge and experience that joy from time to time. So it was kind of nice that I didn't have to try to figure out what to pull off my TBR, or if I should be impulsive or rigid, because nothing here, I believe, is going to be read really soon, with maybe the exception of The Offing, which I could read beginning of the year or right around the holiday, maybe, and it would bump something else, but it's little and I don't think very much of a commitment intellectually and emotionally. It doesn't feel like it's going to have a bunch of triggers or something as such. Who knows though? Until next time.